this route along the coast of Vietnam, of present-day Vietnam. None of them go through the other side. They're not technical, but they do clearly describe the coast of Vietnam. So it is something that happens long before the Europeans arrive.
他说，第一个就是，在欧洲人还来之前，15世纪之前，在中文的典籍里面，不是很科学性的典籍，不是航海的典籍，但是譬如说像那个佛教僧侣，从广州、泉州一路上到欧洲，他说这条路线的确那个时候是大家都在用，也的确存在的。
And now, coming to the Philippines and to this second part of the question, the Philippines were discovered by the Europeans through the other side, by the Spanish coming from South America across the Pacific, not from this side. So the Portuguese were not going to the Philippines at that time. They were going to the Moluccas, but they went through the Java Sea. So it's a different problem. Later on in 17th century, when for instance the Portuguese and the Spanish were together in one crown, one country, 1580, 1640, so there was exchange between Malacca and the Philippines, then they took the eastern road.
菲律宾是从西班牙人发现菲律宾，是因为西班牙那个时候从美洲这边过来，所以菲律宾是从东边这样被发现的。然后在那个时候，葡萄牙人是在爪哇摩洛加群岛这边活动，所以这个时候这两边是分开的。那直到就是有一阵子，就是他们菲律宾跟葡萄牙不是西班牙跟葡萄牙两个国家是统一的时候啊，这个时候他们才有稍微从东岛这边航海的这个记录。
And they did the east road, but they didn't cross the central route and then to the Philippines. They went along Borneo, and on the other side, on the other coastal route, not the central one. That only happened later in the late 17th and 19th century, 18th century.
17、18世纪，那他们就是菲律宾跟西班牙人啊，他们走东道的时候，他们也是从婆罗洲这旁边这个沿岸走，而不是从这个中间走。17、18世纪的时候。
I think that is more or less my answer.
大概是这样。
谢谢。因为我原来以为中国开始对南海航行，因为中国开始采用船只的问题，所以一直到是东道走。而西方因为船只到大航海时代以来，整个航海技术的改变，他们可以东道西道同时使用。能不能告诉我，台湾的就是葡萄牙发现台湾是经过东岸还是西岸？
Originally he thought the Chinese clippers because they have less advantage technology, so they usually use the east route. He thought. And the Western technology, because the ships probably they are better, so they use both routes together. So his question would be, do you know what kind of route do they take when Portuguese from Taiwan?
All the way to Taiwan from Singapore, let's say, the Strait of Singapore. No, I couldn't tell you right now because this does not appear in text until late in the 17th century. And my study is really to go to the south, to the ports of Guangdong and Fujian, not really further east. This is a study that could be carried out and try and understand. I'm practically convinced that they would go all the way to the coast of Fujian, let's say, and then cross. But it has to be proved, and I haven't carried out that study. The clippers in the 19th century, they could use the road they wanted, depending on the wind, the season, etc. But according to the nautical instructions of the 19th century, statistically they used more the western route, the coastal route, than the others. But they could, of course, choose depending on if they left too late, they arrived too early, the winds were not there were storms. They would choose it according to, they had a choice. Before the 18th century, they had no choice. The other choice would be through Borneo, but that would be almost maybe 50% more distance.
他刚刚说他其实他的研究是就是南海这边航路，可是只有到广东和福建，然后所以他觉得这个研究就是葡萄牙人是怎么用哪一个路线发现台湾的，这是可以做的哈。那也许这不是他的研究，可是他在猜测，也许是就是上到这个福建这边再过来哈，再往东走。那刚刚讲的这个中国船只科技的问题啊，就是19世纪的确那个 Clipper 就是在查的那个快船啊，它有很多选择，它可以走东道，也可以走西道，它也可以看这个天气的好坏，它都可以走哈。只不过西道是最快的一个，因为最快，然后最稳定、最安全。那在18世纪以前呢，其实大家是没有选择的，就是你就是一定要按着越南的这个海岸线走，然后要不然你要走这个沿着婆罗洲旁边走，可是婆罗洲那边就是非常的远呐，就是绕了50%多的这个航线。
我最后再提一个，其实水道这个问题，在很多岛屿里头会有这个问题。从广州到澳门也有一个西方所谓的澳门水道，他们同样存在东道西道的问题。那常常因为沿海岛屿的众多，使得船只航行不是那么顺利，因此会采取哪一种水道会比较多。后来近代，那我在看东南亚或者南海这个地方的水道的话，自从大航海时代一些航海技术的改变，就是六分仪啦，或者是那些航海技术的一些转变之后，这个部分的问题会被克服很多，所以两个海道同时在使用的情况会越来越明显。是我本来是这样一个观察，我不知道这样观察，想请教吗
？He say it is common, for example, between Guangzhou and Auman, there's a channel. Also, there's a west road and the east road to go through Guangdong and Auman. His observation is with the advances of technology, apparently there are more choices in the Southeast Asia sea routes. There are more choices and there are more routes developed with the advance of technology. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. Yes, as soon as you had, you knew how to determine precisely your position at sea, then you have a lot more choices because and little by little all the rocky islands, the shoals were mapped. But don't forget that even when I started working on this subject in 1970, the Admiralty charts of the British or the French, Navy maps of the when you talked about the Spratlys, the eastern part of these shoals along Borneo and Palawan, they were still in the 20th century indicated as unknown zone. That was 1970. Nobody went through there. The situation has changed recently dramatically, but this is a very recent change and has nothing to do with our story here.
他说，当然科技进步对于那个海上选择是帮助非常多。譬如说，你可以很清楚知道你在海上在哪一个点啊，哪一个位置，然后你也可以知道说海上的沙洲啊、海上的岛屿在哪个地方。那但是他要说即使他在研究的初期，1970年的时候啊，他去读那些法国啊、英国的那些航海图，这个从婆罗洲还有菲律宾巴拉望这个旁边的这个海啊、沙洲，还是都写着这是不可知的领域，就是即使是在1970年都还是这个样子。那当然，现在的这个科技进步，我说就是在非常非常最近这一代的这个情形已经变得非常清楚，可是这是非常非常最近才发生的事情。那跟我们今天讲的15到18世纪、19世纪其实是没有什么关系的。
还有没有其他问题可以请教的？因为。
Thank you. I'm from National Taiwan Normal University. I'm a PhD student. And I have a question for the choice of the route. You mentioned the choice of east or west route mostly by geographical reasons. And I'm wondering if did they mention any social benefits, such as easier to get supply, easier to get fresh water, or if the government in east or west route friendly to foreigners, especially Christians. Did I mention these benefit or some features about this route? And did they choose the route by these reasons? Thank you.
Well, it must have also been considered at some point, but there were pirates, let's say, on both roads. Both on the coast of Vietnam, they often complained, sometimes they were attacked. They controlled that route because the ships had to pass, you could see the ships passing basically along the coast. So they did it. On the eastern road, the same thing must have happened because you went along the coast of Borneo, you had also a lot of people there, fishermen along Brunei, Sarawak, all these places, Palawan. So I think it balanced. They don't talk so much about this kind of thing. So I don't believe it's something essential. It probably was as bad on both sides. One possible, it doesn't mean the eastern route was unknown, but if you look at Chinese sources, the eastern route is only known after the Song. And this is when Chinese ships started going to get their clothes from Malacca on their own. Before the Song, basically, Chinese navies did not go abroad very much. This starts in basically the Northern Song, but and this route only appears at that time. But definitely, starting in the Song, the Chinese traders went to the southern seas, and if they wanted the clothes from the Moluccas, then the eastern route was the best one. Of course, they didn't have to go all the way west and east again to the Moluccas, and that is the route that is described. But it is not a crossing of the South China Sea. It is going further east, or to Brunei, which is for the camphor of Brunei, which is northern part of Borneo. Again, it was closest through the eastern route. So they are known. They're not used for going to Singapore Straits and further west.
他想说，对，的确，这个两边的沿岸其实都是沿着岸这样子走啊。那所以其实这个西岛它会有海盗啦，那其实东边呢可能也会有啊，所以其实两边状况可能都一样糟糕。那但是像这个东岛啊，它其实很早以前就在中文的这个典籍上面被发现，就是在讲到，就是譬如说北宋的时候就讲说要去这个摩鹿加群岛拿那个衣料啊，运一些或者是现在文莱啊，就是沿着婆罗洲这边嘛，有一些沉香啊，然后这个东西是很重要的，因为它不是它本来就是要去东边的这个印度尼西亚这个摩鹿加群岛，它不是要去新加坡马六甲，它本来就是要去东边啊，所以它本来就是要沿着东边这条路来走。重点是其实是没有人穿越南海，从正中间这样子走。
Maybe I could add one point that would answer both queries. The trading is also, all these routes are important because of trade. They are used by missionaries, they are used by ambassadors, but they always carried on trading ships. And when you use the western route, you go from China to Champa, which has a lot of productions, and to an area which is the Straits area, which is the most economically developed area of this region. If you go to the east, it's basically an undeveloped region economically. The big states are not there, they're in the west. So that is another reason for traders to go on along this road because they can trade on the way, stop over, take some products, do some benefits on the road. If they go east, they have to go straight. There's nothing to do except Canterbury and Borneo.
所以其实东道跟西道的选择还有一个很重要的原因是经济上的原因呢，就是即使这些传教士啊、商人，他们其实都是搭这个贸易船来的。那在西边重要的城市、重要的这个地方，譬如说詹城啊，他们可以一边航海一边做生意，一边航海一边做生意。那可是到了这个东边，其实这些地方都是没有什么开发的，所以你其实也做不了什么生意，就是赚的钱有限。所以大部分人可能因为经济上的原因，他还是会走西边这条路。
其实我是同意这个看法的。我刚刚也在想，可能是这个因素会占用比航海技术突破的那些来的重要。因为我这里头那个蒙汉教授使用了那个7枚能不能告诉我他的看法对这张地图的制作的人，或者是东方人、西方人对这张地图的一些意见？
He agrees with the economic reason. He was just thinking probably that's the major reason. Then the advances of technology, and he wants to know more about the Selden map in Boston Library.
Yes.
He wants to know a little bit more about who might be the one draw the map and.
I'm afraid I can't tell you much more because I'm not a sinologist. It is available now on the site of the Bodleian Library, on the website, with a lot of detail. My reproductions were from that site. On the site of the Bodleian Library, you have quite a few studies. Other people like, what's his name, Brooke? What's his first name? Timothy Brooke. Not Peter Brooke, he's a theatre person. Timothy Brooke wrote a novel about it with a lot of ideas on the Selden map, and you have now published by the Hong Kong Maritime Museum a 2-volume set which reproduces the Selden map, a lot of very technical studies on the Selden map, and the text of the Shunfen Xiangzong and all these nautical Chinese texts of the 17th century in facsimile. They are also in the Bodleian Library. Now the author, I don't remember all these studies because I wasn't really interested. Nobody knows, as far as I can remember my readings, nobody knows exactly who did it, how and why. And scholars don't seem to agree.
这个 Selden map， 他其实他说这不是他的研究啊，但是他可以就是讲一些有关他的研究。第一个就是他是在这个牛津大学 Portland 图书馆里面，那这个网站上它有非常详尽的，他的这张图也是靠那个网站上的，所以大家可以去那个网站上就可以看到非常清楚的图。第二个是有一个作者叫 Timothy Brooke， 他写了一本小说是关于这张地图的。然后再来就是香港的海事博物馆，他最近也发表了，也出版了关于这张地图所有的研究啊，然后还有很清楚的这个地图，就是大家也可以去看。但是呢，其实他好像是没有人知道说为什么还有是怎么样这张地图是画出来的啦，就是他就是抱歉没有办法给确切的答案。
因为那个胡志明写的那个新闻小说也没有什么结论，然后这张地图到现在研究也还没有结论。那我是觉得这张地图里头，因为有中国的元素，有西方的画法，还有一些中国地图上不实用的一些图例，所以我才会想说这是一个综合的技术。那根据中研院有人在做研究，因为我朋友在做研究，他最近可能也会发表，他因为写了几篇文章。他的结论是，这个可能是明清闽南的一个商人到南洋这个地方绘制的。那因为这个东西都还没有一个正式的结论出来，所以我也很希望听听那个孟凡教授的一个看法。所以这个没有关系，我知道这样意思。谢谢。
According to what he knows, a friend of him is doing research at Academia Sinica, and is going to be published recently, and that friend suggests in his research that map probably will be emergent from China in Ming or Qing dynasty, who draws the map, but it's not conclusive, and so he just want to.
Yes. Thank
Here
you for
you
the
are.
information, yes. It's going to be difficult to conclude.
我想您刚刚在那个演讲的时候提到了，就是说靠着越南沿岸的这个西道，促进了越南地区这个的应该说是经济上的发展。然后您也提到了那个这些水手们可以边航行边做生意，以至于它比东岸还要更繁盛，这个航道比西道比东道还繁盛。那我想知道您刚演讲中所提到的这些。不管是就各种，包括中国的或者是西方的文献，这些航海志里面有提到说，他们的停靠的哪些港口嘛？我指的不是说近海间的贸易，而是至少是从Singapore 这个地方，就是所谓的国际间的长期的贸易，他们也是走着近海一直靠岸短暂的这样的航行。那如果是的话，那是不是新的航道发现之后，就中间的那条航道发现之后，对于这些越南沿岸的城市有产生它们没落了吗？还是有什么样的影响
？We were talking about the West role probably is more important than the East role is because of the economic reason, and maybe they trade on the way when they sail along the coast of Taiwan. And he's asking, do you know or do you find any big harbors along this coast? What he meant is those
Along the coast of Vietnam.
Yeah, those big ships from Singapore. Do they make short stops? Do they make short jumps? Or do they stop at some specific big harbors? And when people can cross the middle of the southern China Sea, has anything changed? Has anything influenced the economic position of those big harbors?
This is a very good question, and something that was always a problem for any economic or political power. Traders, if they are directly under the orders of the political power, they will be asked to go straight, quickly, to Singapore. But traders, once at sea, they usually do not obey orders. They prefer profit. And you get a lot more profit by stopping over, selling what they want here, buying something else, making profit, going to the next stop, doing the same thing. And stopping over 10 times is much more profitable than going straight to the other one. So whenever they can, they'll stay close to harbors. And there are plenty of trading harbors and very good harbors in the coast of Vietnam. So they can do it. Then I'll tell you another story, but maybe you better translate.
就是这个，其实这个，如果说国家要那个政治力量要这个船呢，它要从一个地方到另外一个地方，它当然最快的方法就是走直线。可是，在海上其实没有人会遵守这个事情啦。那因为什么呢？它停很多的小的点呢，它当然可以做更多的生意。所以它如果停10个点，它就做的生意绝对是比你走一趟直线做的生意还要多，然后也可以赚更多钱。
There's a good example of this, and it has to do with the east or west route, not quite the same, but when the Portuguese came to Malacca, their principal aim was to go to get clove from the Moluccas. You've got 2 roads to go there. One is from Malacca across the straits, passing along the coast of Sumatra, then to Java or the Sunda Islands, Bali, Flores, Sumba, Sumbawa, and then up again to the Moluccas. trading there, coming back, took 2 years.
就是
Yes, go
就
ahead.
是葡萄牙人他那个时候他要在那个马六甲做生意啊，他譬如说他要去最东部的这个摩鹿加群岛去拿一个布料好了，好，那他就是要穿越现在印度尼西亚所有这些群岛啊，什么苏门答腊岛啊、爪哇岛啊，就一路走到最东部这个摩鹿加群岛，再回来的话要2年。
So the Portuguese captains who tried to impose the monopoly on cloth that was requested by the King of Portugal constantly asked the Portuguese merchants to go on the coast of Borneo, north of Borneo, straight to the Moluccas, and they could be back with the cloth in 1 year, in 1 season.
所以因为太久了嘛，所以这个葡萄牙皇室他就下令，好，我们现在就是要走那个刚刚讲的那个东道，从婆罗洲这边，好，我们就是从那个婆罗洲这边上去，那不就上去马上就到那个摩鹿加群岛了嘛？回来只要1年。
But they never managed to implement these instructions because the Portuguese merchants, even though they were in the order of the crown, in fact they always went the long way because they traded privately for their own benefit, not for the benefit of the crown, on the way there by exchanging cloth, textiles, clothes, timber, whatever, all the way to the Moluccas and back again. That's why they took 2 years. But the profit was much better for their private pockets than it was for the crown.
那这个皇室下的这个令呢，有没有执行呢？就是没有人要听他的，为什么呢？因为这些葡萄牙商船呢，他就是走这个远路2年嘛。为什么2年？因为他一边走一面做生意啊，就是卖所有可以卖的啊，木头啊、香料啊、衣服啊，各式各样的。然后所以一面走就是要2年。那这个走1年的这条路啊，也从来没有人要听这个皇室的，因为这些人其实走这个很远的路，可是可以赚很多私房钱。
I think that answers your question.
那就是回答你的问题。
抱歉，好像漏了一个，就是那新航道，所以18世纪以后不是新航道出来了吗？那对于那个越南的沿岸的城市的影响。
And so he want to ask, has anything changed to Vietnamese cities, big harbors, after the cross South China Sea road is found?
Yes, well, you can explain Champa before Vietnam. Champa was not, the Vietnamese only came down after 10th, 11th, 12th century, and basically they conquered it after the 15th century, the end of the 15th century. So it was, you should really talk about Champa. Champa is a rather poor area. The coastal plains are very narrow. The mountains come down to the sea quite quickly. So there's little rice, little agriculture. Most of what they can do is trade forest products from the mountains with traders coming through along their coast. They have very good harbors. So much of the wealth of Champa can be explained because of this trade route. So there was a lot of benefit for Champa. Vietnam is less of a, as you know, Champa is, they're cousins to the Malays, the Javanese, where Vietnamese are not seafaring people that much. So maybe when the Vietnamese conquered it, the political reasons, the reasons were more political, military than anything else. But at least for the history of Champa, I think it is absolutely essential that they could control this route and have all the traders come to their harbors to make profit, because they were not in an ecological situation that was profitable for them.
他说这个要回答这个问题，就是要看那个战船的历史啊。在15世纪，就是在越南统治之前啊，那个战船它其实是从有很多马来人啊、爪哇人啊住的地方。那这个战船这个地方，它其实并没有什么天然的物产，它没有什么米啊， 所以因为它山很陡峭，然后旁边就是紧邻着这个海岸线，所以其实呢，大部分都是靠这个海上贸易来挣钱的。那在这个越南人哦，就是来统治占城之后啊，他就比较少，这个占城地位也许就比较没落了一点啊。可是这可能是因为是政治上的原因，因为越南人他其实并不是一个很喜欢航海的民族哦，就是之前的占城跟这个现在我们知道这个不太一样。
还有没有其他问题？很难得的机会。
我想要接着请问，就是刚刚的问题，就是你提到说，因为其实就是因为贸易跟经济的原因，所以大部分他们还是会选择走西道，就是沿岸的路线做贸易这些。那想请问，就是那个18世纪发现那个中间的航道之后，就是它通常在什么样的情况下会使用，然后使用的频率高吗？这样子。
She wants to ask, after the big find of the rod cut in the middle, is it frequently used, and in which condition?
It was only used more frequently after the beginning of the 19th century. Before that, obviously not. But ships that were following the route along the coast came across storms, typhoons. This is an area in the north of Vietnam which has typhoons too. Many of them strayed into, if they strayed in the middle where there were no shoals, they could still save themselves, but sometimes they strayed and they were driven onto the rocks that did exist at the north. And this area is absolutely full of shipwrecks. There were surveys by either the Vietnamese or the Chinese who both claimed these islands, the Paracels, the northern ones. They are absolutely full of pottery, dating from the Han for the Chinese pottery all the way to modern times, because there were plenty of shipwrecks there. But the Vietnamese court, as it came down from Hue, had a company that sent every year people with ships to the island just to collect all the wreckage and the pottery and whatever that they could make profit of for the court. So it was quite well known. But there are no statistics. We don't have statistical accounts of how many people went through here, how many went through the other one. All we know is there were plenty of wrecks. That's what the people feared, because they didn't know exactly where they could be wrecked. They would be wrecked.
所以在19世纪，这条路发现以后，其实是没有一个统计数据啦，或者是什么可以很清楚显示出大家是不是很频繁用这条路。可是呢，就是这条路有一个，就是大家在遵守着靠着海岸走的时候，还是其实常常被台风啊什么的天灾要被风吹过来，就是西沙群岛这个部分。就是西沙群岛，我们刚刚有看到文献上有写，就是它的沉船非常多，从汉朝开始就有啊，有很多，当然上面有很多贸易词啊，然后还有很多各式各样的货物，所以这越南皇室他当然就是定期的会去找人去清，就是去把这沉船里面东西全部捞起来嘛，然后就是把它卖掉。所以我们不清楚知道说这个中间这条航道是有多频繁的在19世纪多频繁的被使用，我们只知道说它其实有很多沉船的。
西沙在中间那个的话，显然那么多沉船，显然这条航道也很热闹。对，要不然怎么那么多？沉船1次、2次、3次，陆续那么多次之后，还是有沉船在里面。还有没有什么问题？我觉得这个问题其实真的蛮复杂的，不是一次演讲可以解决的。因为东南亚这个是真的是可以这个挖掘不尽的宝藏在那里，难怪我们的新南向指向那里。 那因为故宫是南院尤其南院是亚洲艺术与文化博物馆嘛，所以我们开始也注意这个区块。我们陆续将来会有很多跟这个地方的一些研究人员，或者是我们在本地的对亚洲地区，尤其东南亚地区有一些研究的，我们会跟他们多一点的一些交流。所以还有没有问题？
你好，就是我想从刚前面的几个问题当中，也就是帮助我理解了一些，就是我本来有疑问的地方。那我现在想问的问题就是关于就是在这些不管是之前的航海记录，或者是我们的就是考古发掘，是不是就是说在各个的港口，他们的这个因为通商是商船在来往，他们这个收关税的状况或者是什么可不可以就是请您多讲？因为我们知道新加坡它大概是18多就在19世纪才成立的一个就是免税港。那在此之前，其实每一个国家的通商口岸，他们都是有权利跟这些商船收税的。Professor Magan, my question is about because you previously already answered a lot of my like wondering about like the pirates and like the economic benefits. My main question right now is about the tax, the custom, because as we know, Singapore was developed by British people in 19th century as a tax-free harbour. So therefore, I mean, a lot of those harbour cities along the route should claim tax to those merchant ship clipper or those traders. So just wondering, would you like to maybe talk a bit more about maybe during your research on those historical like manuscript, archive letters, do they mention like any specific things about like which like government or country or specific harbor claim like a huge tax to them, so they try to avoid it, or like do some of the harbor city introduce some of the more beneficial policy or any like rules for them? So would you like to talk a bit more about that? Thank you.
Yes, obviously any government who controls a harbor will levy taxes because that's part of the revenue. All over the world, except in completely undeveloped areas which are not state controlled by one state or the other. And even then, you probably have to give gifts if it's not taxes to people. So that would be the general rule. Any ruler, king, governor, whoever, who levies taxes that are too high, will see the people, the merchants fly away and not come back to their harbor. And then there will be competition with the next harbor who will lower the taxes. This is a general rule all over the world history. The problem with these areas is that we do not have precise sources, economic sources, to describe it in precise terms. We have it starts with Malacca. We know that the Portuguese levied taxes, obviously, but they tell us about what the Malays did. They must have been reasonable because Malacca was one of the richest trading harbors in the world in 15th century. So the people would come. And when at the beginning at least, the Portuguese levied taxes that were higher for their own bottoms, their own ships, than they were for the Malays or Javanese or Chinese, because most of the trade was Malay, Javanese, Chinese, and not Portuguese. So there's always this economic policy. But statistical details, economic history, you cannot write without having all the figures, and we don't have them.
就是其实是没有什么确切的这个数字啦，或者是记录来讲东南亚这些港口怎么样抽水。那当然就是 一般的准则嘛，就是如果说我这边抽的税比较高，那人家就会跑到别的地方去啊。那所以在那个葡萄牙人统治马六甲的时候，他其实就是对马来人、爪哇人还有那个中国的商船，他就是会抽比较高一点点的税，他会自己会抽比较低一点点的税这样子。
我们再开放一个问题，好不好？其实我心里头还有很多问题，
Thank you. One more question. When I choose the route across the China Sea directly, with not using the coastal routes, do I need compass or more any tools to position the ship in order not to miss the relative connection?
This is probably one more reason why you can accumulate plenty of reasons why you wouldn't take the central route. The central route is above quite deep waters, which you know, compasses, as you mentioned, compasses until the 19th century, all over the world, including in Europe, are useless. They give you the direction, but they cannot be used to precisely steer a ship, because they are not precise enough. There's a lot of physical laws that are not known. You know, a compass can be influenced by any iron tool, anything, an anchor, anything or the ship will completely put the compass astray, and all this is not very well known yet. And there are other reasons, deviations, I mean, a lot of technical reasons that make the compass very useful only after the 19th century also. So compasses were not the main. It was there because it's useful at night in the middle of a storm, more or less, to know where the north is. But that's about all. What was used was more empirical methods to sail. And being close to the coast was very important because you could sound, you could send a lead, you know, a big piece of lead with a string. You knew exactly how deep it was. And all these technical texts will tell you, as you reach this latitude, it is deeper, it's only 20 meters, or further away, it's already 40 meters. These are good indication of where you are. And also, they tell you, you put a bit of glue at the bottom of the lead. You hit the bottom, when you bring it up, you'll bring sand, coral, shellfish, whatever. And that will tell you where you are also. And all this is recorded in the nautical charts. So this is empirical, and you know, birds, there are a lot of empirical ways of finding your way that are not the compass. And it is much easier close to the coast than in the middle of the sea.
说在19世纪以前的罗盘啊，其实是根本就是没有什么用啦。它最多就是告诉你一个就是方向，它可以很精确地跟你说这个方向北方在哪边。那但是因为19世纪以前啊，就是有很多技术上的问题，就是没有办法解决啊。譬如说罗盘很容易就是会被磁力啊、会被铁啊影响啊。那这个没有办法解决的事情，就是会在航海上真的会造成非常大的问题。所以其实真正在航海上，也就是他们都是靠实际的经验，就是我们刚刚看到文献上面描写的这些事情。那他们为什么一定要离岸很近呢？因为离岸很近的话，他们可以很清楚的知道他们用一个铅锤啊，就把它丢到那个海里面去，然后他去量那个长度，然后就可以很清楚的知道自己在哪里。 然后同时在铅水底下，如果你沾了一个用个粘的东西，你可以看粘起来的是什么，譬如说是沙子，或者是珊瑚礁，或者是粘到鱼，等等之类的，你就可以很清楚知道现在海底的深度还有然后你判断你现在离岸，因为你可以看到岸嘛，你离岸的这个远近，然后你可以很清楚知道说你现在在哪里这样子。那这些事情呢，就是都是这些实际的经验，譬如说你看到听到什么鸟的声音啊，看到在离岸哪里海里面有什么有沙子啊，这些全部都是很清楚的写在这个文献里面的。
其实这种航海技术的确不是罗盘已经不太管用，因为到了近代航海技术起来之后，罗盘已经不是一个当然是一个航海工具，但不是一个主要航海工具。还有没有问题？因为你们大概没有在大海航行坐过船的经验，在海上尤其到了没有星空的晚上，跟沙漠一样危险，你根本分不清东西南北。我有这样的经验，我知道。所以那个真的分不清东西南北。经验有些时候到这样的一个无助的情况，也会让你心里头发慌。所以那个时候真的开始有近代为什么整个东西方世界会发展那么快跟近代航海技术的发展有很明显的关系。他刚刚那个蒙干教授提到19世纪那个水道提纲是一个英国人写的一本书，后来在那个马尾的传承学堂有翻译。好，有没有其他什么问题？有没有其他什么问题？差不多了。欲罢不能。
不是针对这个演讲，但是因为可能机会难得，就是我想可能在座的其他观众也会感兴趣，就是如果想要做东南亚的研究，不要讲太广，比如特别是印尼或者越南，这个地区，那我们需要掌握，他需要掌握的语言文字的有哪些？
His question is about how to conduct a research, how to be a proper researcher in in this area. He's asking if you want to do research in Indonesia or Vietnam. So how many languages or what kind of skills do you have to obtain?
Yes, this has not to do only with maritime history. Well, I told you I'm not a sinologist. I use a little bit of Chinese here and there, but I mostly use it with the help of my sinologist friends. That's one thing. You need to know, when you work in Indonesia, you need to learn Indonesian. It's even better if you know a bit of Javanese or a bit of Balinese, depending on where you work, but at least Indonesian, which is the national language. If you are a historian, you need to learn Dutch, read Dutch, because all the historical records and even the archaeological work of the 20th century is written until the 50s in Dutch. After the 50s, Dutch people started writing in English. So you need to read Dutch, you need to read English. Then it's a matter of luck. I was born in Portugal, so I knew Portuguese. It was my second tongue. French was useful for Vietnam because it was a French colony. Then it's a matter of, you need a few languages.
那时候对是要学一些语言他自己也不是很懂中文，但是他有个很好的朋友，所以他都请朋友帮他。那你如果要在印度尼西亚做研究的话，那当然要懂一些爪哇文或者一些巴黎文。那当然印尼文也是很重要，因为这是共同的语言。那如果要念历史的话，那当然印度尼西亚就是荷兰嘛，所以荷兰人在50年代以前，20世纪50年代以前，他都是用荷兰文写，所以也要懂荷兰文。那不过50年代以后，他们就用英文写了，所以当然也要懂英文了。那如果你要做越南的研究的话，那是很重要，一定要懂法文。那个教授他自己本身是葡萄牙人，所以他懂一点点法文吧。
他妈妈是大呀，他妈妈。
其实做越南的研究中文也是很重要的知识，因为在越南在还没有这个文字以前，使用都是中文，所以越南的一些所有的文献，古代文献也很多都是用中文记载的。还有没有其他什么问题？还有没有其他什么问题？今天如果不控制一下，可能会问到6点。因为这个问题对我们来讲是有点新又有点旧。我说的旧是，其实我们跟东南亚、中国跟东南亚关系很早就已经有很密切的来往。那新是因为这一块对研究的人来讲，还算是一块新的领域，所以现在国内很多大学都开始往东南亚做一些区域上的研究了。那我想这一部分我们也开始急起直追。还有没有什么问题？没有的话，我们谢谢马